Hi, I'm John Lentini with AnimeOnLocation.tv, and I'm here with one of our interviewers, Cameron Carlson. How you doing today, Cameron?
All right.
Okay, we'll start right into it. How did you first get into anime?
The way I got into anime was my parents were divorced, and I'd go to summer camp, and I would every time I come home, Toonami would be on, and Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and Gundam Wing would always be on. I loved all of them. There were a few shows that I didn't like on Toonami at the time, and that was only because like they would always keep repeating the same ones, and I always try to like figure out where I was in the series because I'd always miss it. So I was trying to that, and then as I got older, I realized that actually I'd started watching the original Dragon Ball when I was a little kid. The local television networks, like the local channels, had it on super early in the morning on weekdays, so I'd watch it before I go to school every day, and I loved it, and I remember that I don't remember the entire series or anything because I was a little kid, but I remember watching and thinking about, oh, how cool is this. After that, when I got to college, it really blew up. Like everything about anime to me just blew up. I had the opportunity to get to use the internet because it was available all the time. I'd watch streaming episodes of stuff, and I found a club on campus, and I got involved in that, and I started buying DVDs and everything, and everything about my life with anime just blew up magically overnight when I got into college. It was about 2008 I became president of the local campus club until I left in 2010. So it was a really great chance. As being that, I got into the convention scene, and I started doing staff for every convention I could go to, and how we met was I was at staff at OhioCon 2010, and I was working staff there and working lines for the guests of all things, doing autographs. And you came up to, through other connections, via other people. You're like, hey, I need somebody to interview, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'm crazy, an idiot, and I'll get on camera and do whatever. And that's how I got involved with you guys, and ever since then I've always been doing press with you guys, and I've loved it because it gets me more connected with the people I love to hear when I watch the shows, and it's a really great time. So I really appreciate the opportunity you give, and that's how my life in anime has just evolved, and this ball's just been rolling ever since. So hopefully, I could go down to Texas and hang out with everybody down there because they'd love. I have Ilya Gulic. I always pronounce his last name wrong, but Ilyich, he wants me to come down to Texas. He's like, dude, I want you to come down here. You're like, what am I about? Yeah, I'm like, gotta get a job first, man. I'm probably gonna move to Houston anyways, but I need to get a job first. So, he wants me to come down, and it's really weird to have a guest say, hey, I want you to come down. So I was really happy to have, like something in my life be impacted that way. So it was really cool.
How has your perspective on anime conventions changed since you worked with us on Anime on Location?
My perspective on it is really neat because not only am I working with them doing, some cons say no, some cons say yes, and I'm allowed to work with them and then work with you guys as well. My perspective is I've never actually been an attendee at a con. I've always done something. So every time I do something different, it gives me a new perspective. And I love press because I get to see the other side of the guests. I get to see them relaxed and laid back and see the real personalities, and and they tell cool stories when you get them alone, and they're really nice people. So it's really cool to get to know them that way versus just, this is my con face and I'm in the public and everybody loves me, and then get them on camera and see the real them is really, really cool. So that's why I love working with Anime on Location, because it gives me this chance to build good relationships and have fun with them, and not just be like this crazy attendee that's like, I love you guys, give me stuff. I'm not like that. So
no, we're happy to have you. Haven't done cons that many years, but what are some of your favorite cons that you enjoy attending?
Well, Colossalcon is actually like my home con. I originally went to A&G Ohio, and I won't talk much about that. So the second con after that was Colossalcon 2008, and it was really cool. It was held in this really tiny hotel up in Cleveland in the Beechwood area. And it was held in this really tiny hotel, and there was 4 weddings that weekend at the exact same time as Colossalcon. And so I wasn't really on staff at the time, but I was kind of helping, and we had this big fire code problem because we had so many people in such a small space, and they're all packed against the walls, and up against the walls, like as tight as possible. And the fire marshal got called 4 times because of this one woman was so upset that we had taken over the hotel, kind of. And the weddings weren't even at the hotel; they were somewhere else. Everybody was just staying at the hotel, and they. I remember the fire marshal came in about like the 4th time, and he said, look, no one's breaking any laws. Everybody's up against the walls. There's clear pathways. have a nice day. And he was just very upset because it's his 4th time out there in one day to deal with the same issue, and no one broke anything. And I've always loved this con because it's very friendly. You know, I'm friends with everybody on staff, and they treat me well. They treat us well. You know, I come up to them and say I have an issue or I have something. They're like, yeah, what can I do for you? You know, the bam, they're there and they're able to help. And you know, we had a lot of issues just yesterday. You know, after we got done with our interviews, and they were really helpful on getting that done and really great. So that's why I'm pretty sure Colossalcon will be my home con if I ever get to come back. OhioCon's also like another one because I have a really big involvement with them. You know, I'm a volunteer with them, and that's where I actually got my real foot in the door as a volunteer, was with OhioCon 2009 with my roommate who's here with us right now. He and I, we didn't even know what to do with ourselves. It was 11 o'clock on Friday in the morning, and there's like nothing going on, so we said, you know what, let's go volunteer. And we volunteered for a couple hours, and all of a sudden they said, hey, Emily DeJesus wants to see you. We're like, oh, the con chair wants to see who? Us? Okay. So we go in there, and she's like, hey, great, thanks for coming down here. You know, I love the emails we had. You know, like she said, okay, here's some boxes of food. I want you to take them up to the green room. We're like, whoa, we're going up to the green room. We're only volunteers. So we go up to the green room. We run into, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and almost about 4, and we run into Greg Ayers, who's an awesome person, and we both love him in all of his roles we've ever heard him in. So we said, hey, do you mind if we escort you down to your panel on con safety? And so we go down there, and it was awesome. We just had a cool chat with him the entire time, and you know, to find out his personality, it was really cool. To, you know, like I said, when you meet the guests outside of the con, they're very much different people, and if you think that they're cool when you meet them, they are just as cool, or even more when they're laid back and you know they have time to chill and stuff. So it was really cool, and he was kind of like one of my first people to work with, but my first ever people I ever got to talk to, voice actors, were amazingly Mike McFarland and Spike Spencer. When I went to A&G Ohio, they were here up in the Fairlawn area. That was for the first A&G Ohio, but like I said, I won't talk too much about that because of what happened at that con, so I don't want to give any bad press on that.
I know you keep up with them and stuff on Facebook or email or whatnot. I know there's probably too many on that list, but tell us some of your favorite guests to hang out with and chat.
When I get the opportunity to, I actually made friends, other than meeting Mike and Spike. My first ever real friend was Todd, amazingly. Todd was working on Claymore at the time, and he was also working on the Funimation podcast. And I was watching it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool, this Todd guy. I have no idea who the hell he is, but I love him. And so we're sitting there, and I've got friends with him on MySpace, of all things, at the time. I started tossing around some ideas for his podcast, and he said, well, he tossed one of my ideas at the wall, and it stuck. And I'm like, whoa, dude, I'm just some crazy fan up in Ohio that just loves you and, you know, doesn't love him. But I love you, Todd. Anyways, you know, I just liked what was going on. And he's like, yeah, and I talked to him about Claymore and how he worked on that. So that's how we became friends. We didn't actually physically meet till just last year at this con, and it was really cool to finally like meet him. And he's like, dude, I love you, I want you down in Texas too. I'm like, I love all you guys, but I gotta have a job. So, and I was still in college at the time, so I couldn't really say yes or no. And I told him, you know, life is going to take me some direction. So if I get down there, yeah, I'll totally try to make a trip to Funimation. Somebody else that I love that I met just last year was Leah. I love Leah Clark. She's such a nice, warm person to talk to. You know, she's such a sweetheart. She loves her fans as much as possible. She has a name for them called Leaflets. It's really cute and stuff. And she has a really, really active fan base on her Facebook group. And if you say you're part of her Facebook group, she'll give you free stuff. You know, and on top of that, she also wants to do a dinner. So I've always told her, I said, if I'm at a con with you, I'll set up all your dinner arrangements, and we'll go have dinner. And she wants to pay for it. I'm like, no, you don't get this, do you? I'm making everybody else pay for you, not us pay. You know, because my opinion is, I love them, and I want them to feel that they should be treated well. Because, you know, in real life, and this is what I always have to try to get across to my friends. I said, you know, voice acting is cool, it's awesome, but like anything else as an actor, it doesn't pay, you know, and these guys work really, really hard. You know, they deserve everything they get. So as a fan, if I can give them something, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I've almost died for them, so that's a fun story. But yeah, I've you know, I'm willing to do that. Oh God! I mean, everybody I talk to. I mean, Jay Michael Tam's probably one of my other favorites to talk to because he comes up to me, and I met him at OhioCon 2009, doing his autograph line, And he I didn't get to really talk to him at the time, but he's when he came back in 2010, he was by himself. He was with a few of the staff, and I was kind of by myself. We were kind of like, there's this weird spot in the convention center, like no one was around, and we just bumped into each other. And he's like, oh, I remember you. You're the cool guy who ran my lines. I love you. And he's like, give me a hug. And the first thing out of his mouth was give me a hug. I'm like, oh, sure, buddy. And then when we did the interview at OICon in 2010. The funniest thing was before we even got the camera rolling, you said, okay, you need to scooch in. So Jay, and you pointed at Jay, and so what he does, he takes the chair and he goes, dun, 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 how you doing? And he's just up in my face. It's probably one of the coolest things ever, so love you. And that's kind of how it got going there. So, I mean, like you said, there's too many people to list. Everybody that's on my friends list on Facebook that's a voice actor, I love all of you guys. Congratulations to Wendy Powell. She got married recently. She's had a big baby. So congratulations to you, Wendy. I know Lucy Christensen, she had her baby about a year ago, so congrats. Vic, stay safe on that motorcycle, buddy. You don't need to get hurt. Because all those girls are going to want your hair if that gets ripped off. So anyways, yeah, that's, I just have so many friends that in the anime community, and I love them all, So if I haven't physically met you, I'm good. You're coming to Ohio. I'll try to try to get there.
All right. Let's hear a couple horror stories from you.
Oh, man. It involves being on staff. I was at OhioCon 2010, and I think, it was Jerry Jewell. What happened was it was late night. Jerry Jewell and Aaron Dismuke were supposed to do a Fruits Basket interview, Q&A. And Aaron's plane got delayed, so it just became like a Jerry Jewell Q&A at that point. And Jerry's just doing a Q&A, but he also had an autograph session after that. Now I mainly do autographs when I do lines, and the policy at OhioCon is you can only have 150 people in the room, period, for autographs. Because they don't want the guests to get overtired, and they want the guests to meet people. So they have 150 people cap max, and we only had maybe like 50 people waiting in the line while the panel was going on. So we let all the first 50 people in, and then all of a sudden, this wave of people just comes over and tries to get in. And I remember we're at the 150 cap line, and this girl is standing at the door, and she's like, I need to meet Jerry. I've been waiting so long. I was in this panel. Ah. She almost threw a punch at me. I'm like, whoa, dude, calm down. So we just shut the door on her and just kind of like, bye. And just and the best part, though, is at OhioCon 2010, it was in the convention center. And they just had it roped off on part of it, but the rest of it was doors because it was kind of like one of those air walls. And we just shut the door. She's like, she walked around. So, this past Goicon, that was interesting. I slept in a room of 9 people. I weigh 240 pounds and I'm 6'2", and when you only have a room that's meant for like, it was 2 queen size beds, and then somebody brought an air mattress. And so they blew up the air mattress right next to the door in the air conditioner, because it was the air conditioner where it's on the wall underneath the window. Yeah. And so I ended up there was 2 doors to the room. I ended up sleeping in front of the main door to the room in a ball like this. That's not something too bad. Oh God, what else? Last year's Ohio Colossalcon was the AKA Tornado Con. What happened there was. What happened was there was a tornado and everything. What happened was what made it really bad was there was the rave going on and everybody's having a good time. And all of a sudden the fire alarm goes off, and they have to evacuate the rave and everything. And there's fire doors are coming down, and people are just getting. I'm sleeping. I have no idea what's going on. I'm sleeping, and the fire door comes down and everything. And I get woken up by my roommate who's here again, the same roommate, and he wakes me up. He's like, "Hey, there's a tornado on the way, and the rave got shut down. There's a fire alarm going off." I'm like, awesome. So all I do is I grab my cell phone and my badge, and that's all I grab, and put on my sandals, and we walk around and we help out with everything. And it was just between like 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. we were all really tense because like we know there's a tornado, and unfortunately there was a really bad tornado that leveled the entire town, no more than like 10 miles away from here. Just leveled it. And it's really sad to say that we got very, very lucky, and I'm very grateful to that. But I remember there was this mother and her kids, and they weren't part of the convention at all, but we're helping. We're trying to be very helpful towards the staff of the Kalahari, which did an excellent job, and our staff is working with them. And we're basically at my level in staff, I was just told, get people, just just stand here in the doorway, just tell people to go downstairs. And this mom comes by with like her husband and kids, and she's like, don't talk to me. You're not allowed to talk to me. You're not part of the con. You're not part of the hotel. Don't talk to me. You know, she's very rude, and you know, she's clearly upset, and I can understand that. But you know, have a little, you know, if you have a problem, wait till after the convention. Convention's over to speak to us. And then kind of a funny thing comes out of that is all the voice actors except Vic and his girlfriend went into the basement, and I remember seeing Leah and Wendy pop out of the basement, and Leah's in her pajamas and she's all sleepy, and Wendy's like, let's go back to our room. And you know, she's because she smokes, so her voice is very deep for a woman, but it works for her. It works. So she has this deep voice, and I remember her and Leah going back to their room, and Chris Kaysen pops up, and he plays Gluttony in Fullmetal Alchemist, both Brotherhood and the original. And he pops out of the basement. It's 4 a.m. in the morning. He goes, dude, where's that famous pizza I hear about? I'm like, Chris, it's 4 a.m. in the morning. And then I saw J. Michael Tatum pop out, and he's still in the same clothes he'd been wearing all day Saturday. So I'm like, you've been partying. I think I saw Todd really briefly, but you know, that's probably one of the more like crazier con stories that I can tell. You know, I've dealt with a lot of things like at OhioCon. They always magically always have it during the same weekend as a cheerleading convention, and that can cause some problems. Yeah. We had a girl. I can't remember what her costume was, but she's scantily clad. And I have this mother come over with her daughter, who's a cheerleader, only like 3 years old, who's in a two-piece. Like she has, you know, the cool, you know, how the cheerleaders, they have their on their tank tops, you know, it says, you know, what school and or whatever, and then they have their skirts. And I'm just thinking politely in my head. I will never repeat much, but you know, I'm thinking contradiction. You know, her daughter's 3 years old and has makeup and glitter and you know, pigtails, and it's just a mess. Oh God, I think that's probably about most of them that I can think of from my brief time. You know, I've only been in cons for about 3 years, but the 3 years I've been in cons, it's been a really fun ride. You know, I've been this year's actually this year I've done OhioCon, I did Animarathon, ShimokuCon. This con makes number 4, and if life and everything works out, I hope to go to MatsuriCon and work there. So actually, this is the most active year I've ever done cons. Oh, okay. Even if they're 1 days or even, you know, this is a 4-day con. We're at day 3 out of 4. So you know, it's been really cool to do that many cons in a year, especially, you know, when people pay for stuff. So it's been really, really cool, and I've always enjoyed working with Anime Location. So and the opportunity you give me is really nice. So I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you for all the stories, Cameron, and thanks for working with us at AnimeLocation.tv.
Thanks.